you haven't seen me for a while. I'm sat here with nothing to do today, so I figured why not sit down and give you all my top, I don't know, 20, 30 moments from the NHRA season this year because I have nothing better to do with my time. This one technically happened before the season started, but it is Brittany Force going 302.69 mile an hour in the eighth mile in Gainesville testing. I don't really think they wanted that to happen, which is why they haven't really acknowledged it that much, and why they haven't done it since. But yeah, that was really cool because I think she went like a 64 something on that run. And given the things we're about to talk about, they kind of lost their ET step throughout the season, and going a 64 on this run and then running as hard to the eighth as it did, it was really cool to see. Number two on our list is Chad Green winning the first ever no prep event in NHRA history. I'm kidding. It wasn't a no prep event. I'm kidding. Don't kill me. Um, but no, I'll be one of the first to say it. NHRA did a shit job at prepping the racetrack that weekend. I get there was rain, but they could have done a little bit more than they did. I'm surprised old Kai Kelly didn't show up and try and run pro mod with the can't get right car, because that thing probably would have won. But yeah, it was cool for Chad because I'm a fan of him. I was a fan of Hunter Green when he ran alcohol. I'm a fan of Hunter when he's in a funny car. And Chad's just a really cool guy, and obviously he runs pro mod, so I like pretty much everything pro mod. So yeah, that was really cool, especially with how terrible the racetrack was, considering he was racing wrong caps and knowing what that car is capable of. It's really cool to see one of the, I guess, smaller guys win. So yeah, Chad Green winning Gainesville. We got a couple from Arizona. So first one being Paul Lee winning his first frickin' Wally. The way that car ran last year was insane. Running side by side with Austin Prock is a tall order, and they did it multiple times. So to see them win in Arizona, which is one of my favorite places I've never been, that was really cool. Next one is freaking Mike Stavrinos, man, winning Pro Mod twice in one weekend and kicking the shit out of Ricky Smith. Yeah, that was cool because that was before he steamrolled everyone, and I'm a Sidney Frigo fan in NHRA, so that was really cool to see him get his first win. I was glad it wasn't JR because I'm so on JR, but yeah, that was really cool to see him win twice in one weekend against the same person. This is two wins from the Winter Nationals in Pomona. This is Jack Beckman winning the 300th Wally for JFR, and Clay, my boy Clay, winning in the Mighty Firebreakers car. I think that was the only win that Clay got this season, which sucks because they definitely deserve more than that. But yeah, it was good to see them in the winner's circle. I'm glad they beat fucking Tony Stewart to do it. And on Jack, I don't know, he's kind of more my dad's guy, but it was cool to see the 300th Wally for JFR. It kind of just, no, 300th funny car Wally for JFR, important distinction. It was cool to see just because, I mean, that car right there did so much for that team. I mean, that car there, so it was cool to see. Not cool in a sense that I'm glad John crashed, because I'm definitely not, because I was there to see it, but it was cool to see somebody other than John or Austin get it. So if Robert was driving, I would have been cool with that, and I'm glad that Jack got it. So yeah. Stepping away from the Wallies for a minute, the Canards. The Canards coming off, I think, is a product of Alan Johnson and David Grubnick getting together, I'm assuming in Bradenton, and having a conversation about it, because I think the two seasons that Brittany wasted were Grubnick trying to make a 340 mile an hour tune-up. but he realized he just couldn't do it because there was something holding the car back. That being the air deflectors. Say what you want about the tires. I don't doubt what the Goodyear engineers are saying because it's definitely a real thing. But I mean, say what you want about the tires. They knew the air deflectors would give the cars more mile an hour. I mean, I play Beam, and I have tested it numerous times. They make a difference. In the tuning aspect of it, the car wants to pull loose at half track more, but that sumbitch locks in and rockets out the back. And I gained 5 mile an hour, I think. Or no, I was able to get more aggressive with the lockup on the top end because we have converters, we don't have clutches and beam. I was able to get more aggressive with locking the converter up in beam, and I gained 5 more mile an hour out of the car. I was going 345. I was able to go 350 with it. So, and I've been able to go faster. So, the canards coming off definitely had to happen to do what we're about to talk about. So, yeah, I'm glad the canards came off, and I'm glad Freiberger was the one to talk about it because he needed the exposure back then because NHRA fans don't really know who he is. I know because I grew up on Roadkill, but a lot of people don't know Freiberger, which kind of surprised me. But he definitely needed that exposure, and the canards coming off was something that definitely needed to happen. This is something that could have been really cool, but was not done in the right way at all. Randy Couture getting in a pro mod. The fact that he was gonna get in, I don't think it was a Willys, but was it the Zeffler? I don't know. It might have been a Willys, but his licensing procedure was not done in the right way at all, and he got hurt because of it because he crashed the fucking car. It shouldn't have. He should not have gotten straight into that car. He should not have licensed in that car. I don't know if he went to Frank Holly's or not. That was never made public. But he should not have licensed in that car. Especially because the Willys cars, as you guys know, they have terrible visibility. Why do you think Blake Housley went to a Camaro? Why do you think... who's the other one? Not in that summer because that's not a competitive car as it is, but I forget who the other Willys is, but I'm drawing a blank. But there's a reason Blake Housley went to a Camaro. It's because that car has a dipped nose to it, and you can see better out of it. Same reason why Melanie Salemi went back to the Firebird. That body has a dipped front nose, and you can see better out of it. Difference being, Melanie is an experienced driver. Blake is an experienced driver. They can adapt to being in a Willys, being in a new model Camaro. They can adapt to not having that visibility. Randy is not there yet. He does not have the seat time. He does not have the amount of passes under his belt he needed. Should not have licensed in that car. Which sucks because I like the Skag cars. I like how Justin and one of the Coughlin's and Wilkerson's cars looked, and Dave Richards, but I mean, he piled up a perfectly good race car because the people who were trying to license him got greedy. Is really all you can say about it. So I hope he heals up. I hope he can get in the car, and I hope he can will it because I think he'll bring eyes to the sport. Anything that can bring eyes to the sport of drag racing is good for the sport of drag racing. So I hope he can get in the car. I hope he can make it work, but we'll just have to wait and see. We got a couple in Charlotte. I think we were supposed to go. We ended up not, which is a massive regret of my dad's. Brittany finally breaking through and running 340. I'll have to look at the decimal in a second, but it was less than Austin. But at the time, that was the first 340 run, which I think Coletta was in one of the other lanes. He went like a 64 something. She went 300 to the 8th, which is cool. and that run kind of set the precedent for the entire season, if you really think about it, because everywhere they went with exceptional air, they went 340. You know, you almost expected it, which is scary to think about, but it's just cold hard truth. You know, she's a badass. David Grubnick's a badass, and that kind of set the precedent for the entire season. I'm not going to touch on this one too much, but Sean Langdon winning the 1,000th top fuel wally. It's crazy to think about that so many milestones happened this season, like the 300th JFR one. I think there's one for Greg coming up. But to think that there have been 1,000 top fuel races and we're going to go for 1,000 more, it's crazy, man. And it just so happens that it was Sean, because he is obviously under the Coletta camp, and I think they said Connie was running super gas, somewhere on there, at the first race that Garlitz won. So that was really cool. I think it was really full circle that a Coletta car won it. So yeah, that was cool to see. I don't really like that this happened, but I kind of have to talk about it because it's something that impacted the Pro Mod class. It's something that impacted people's views on the Pro Mod class, and I think it's really important to talk about. Tom Bailey going 263.51 mile an hour in Chicago. I hate having to explain this to people that don't understand Pro Mod, but turbo cars in the class, mind you, are capped at either 32 or 36 pounds of boost. And I think the maximum engine size for a turbo car is like 524 or something like that. And that was like the really, really, really old rule set back when Lyle ran. This was before the E-Gate. This is before everything that's basically revitalized the turbocharged combination in Outlaw Pro Mod. Tom doesn't follow NHRA rules. Was that car heavier? Yeah. Was it a shittier built chassis? Yeah, because we've seen how terrible it runs on Dragon Drives. But they probably took every street driving thing out of it. They probably took a fuck ton of weight out of it. And they have a special tire from Goodyear that he tested. I don't know if it's the one Justin Bond runs or not, but I know Justin runs the Goodyear. But something you got to think about is they probably cram 60, 70 pounds of boost through a 572 cubic inch Chevy based engine. It's not a Hemi, I don't think. But you gotta kind of keep that in mind when you're talking about records. Erica went her run with, I don't even think they allowed 88s back then. I think they were on like 70, 76s or something. And once again, the boost cap, which is stupidly low. Those cars could easily run 530s if they uncapped them. And I think Lyle talked about one time, even if the car saw 36 pounds of boost, it wouldn't maintain it. It would either go above or under, because they didn't have anything to regulate it. So NHRA would see that they overboosted the car, but it wouldn't really be their fault because there was nothing there to hold the boost at 36 pounds or 32 pounds or whatever it was. So I don't really count it as a pro modified record because the car's not really pro mod to begin with because of how terrible it's built. And once again, he does not follow NHRA pro modified rules. So I don't count it. If he had a 524 cubic inch engine or whatever ran the 76 mil turbos, and capped that thing at 36 pounds of boost, it wouldn't have left the fucking starting line. Plain and simple. NHRA turbo cars probably go 980 down low. He would have gone like a 110, 60 foot. So, bottom line is, if he followed rules, wouldn't have happened. This one is, as Brian Loans describes, the off the top rope attack from Brittany Force on Epping, New Hampshire. I don't think as many people realize this as they should have. Not only did she go 338, she went the first ever 339 mile an hour top fuel run and 340 with a 0, like 340 top fuel run. Obviously, they'd been 341 before, but nobody had ever gone 339. Nobody had ever gone 340. And she went 38, 39, 40, 41 in the same day. That is, as John would say, that is mythical shit. From Bristol, we have a killer weekend for Vance and Hines. Braden Davis getting his first number 1 qualifier, and Richard Gadsden getting his first Wally. Richard's awesome. Ricky Gadsden is like up the road from us. We don't talk to him, but it's really cool to see somebody with a story like Richard kick ass, you know? And granted, he didn't really get to end the season the way he wanted to, but still, it's incredible. Braden, I probably shouldn't say this, but I talked to Gage in Virginia, and I asked him, like, no offense, but why is Braden running away from you and Richard? And he said, basically, we're on test bikes. We're testing stuff. Braden is running my Kill the World setup from a couple years ago. So I was like, oh, okay. So basically, how the Vance and Hines program works is, if you have the money and the sponsors, you can come in and ride the Kill the World setup, and the only thing that could fuck it up is you as the rider. So that's a really cool system. To be able to ride a bike that set pretty much every track record everywhere it went would probably be the most badass thing in the world. And the fact that Braden was the one to do it this season, really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I'm looking forward to the future of the V&H Rent-A-Ride program. I think Alex Laughlin said he was going to try and license on a bike this season and then ride next year, which I would love to see him with V&H. We're not very big fans of Matt Smith, so even though we're a Harley family, yeah, I think seeing Gage, Richard, Alex, Braden on the same team, that would be dope. So yeah, huge congrats to Braden and Richard for getting their career firsts in Bristol. Now for a couple from my home race in Richmond, Dynasty Spurlock running Pro Stock Motorcycle. She was a XDA rider, or is an XDA rider, and they run a lot at MIR, so it was really cool to see somebody like that run. And granted, she's on a V-twin, and they didn't have that thing set up at all, but still, it was cool to see somebody debut and get a shot at the big show. On the topic of bikes, V&H domination, again, Braden goes back-to-back number 1 qualifier. Gage wins it. Yeah, they ran away with this season. Charlotte was a fluke. That's all I'm going to say. One more for Virginia. This one, I don't know how many of you caught it in my Virginia video, but I actually had a conversation with Jay Schomburger in the staging lanes when I took a picture of the car, because it looked like an old Pro Stock car, and I asked him if that's what it was, and he said it is. So when the Comp Eliminator final rolled up, I was like, hey, wait a minute, I know that car. and he won. And I was like, holy shit, that's really freaking cool. So Jay Stromberger winning Comp Eliminator in Virginia, especially because I got to talk to the guy. He's really cool. So yeah, I think he said it was an old WJ Pro Stock car. So yeah, really freaking cool. I like watching Comp Eliminator because it's strange cars that can kind of just run unrestricted. I mean, yeah, they have an index, but still, it's kind of unrestricted in a way. I'm honestly surprised it took them this long to do it, but my boy Spencer in Norwalk bringing out the Jack and the Greenstock look. Finally, I'm honestly surprised it took them that long to do it because they've had it for a couple seasons on the Pro Mod, and that's honestly what made me fall in love with that car was how cool that color was. So definitely really cool to see them debut in Norwalk. Sucks they couldn't win with it, but still really, really cool to see that debut. Me being a fan of Jim and Annie Whiteley, this one was really cool to see. Corey Reed gets his first Pro Stock win. He qualified number 1 at the Pro Superstar Shootout, but that's not a Wally race, so it didn't really matter. But he finally broke through and won one. It was really cool to see because I've followed him and Joey Gladstone for years now. So, really, really freaking cool to see them win. One end of the record beaten and one almost beaten in Seattle. I consider myself more a fan of the ET side of things rather than speed. I get 340 is cool, but we don't really need to do that. Coletta going 62 was huge. I think he went 300 to the eighth. 300 to the eighth. 341.34 on the speed. But 62 with an 8, that is a monstrous run nowadays with the weight that they've put on the cars and all the other restrictions and whatnot. That was really, really cool to see, especially on a bye run of all things. Alan Johnson does not play at all. I want to see more ETs next season. The speeds are cool, but it doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. As much as everybody loves it, it means nothing. I want to see more 63s, 62s, 64s even. You know, that's what is really cool for me, is seeing the ETs. So I want to see more of those next season. I actually got to watch this live because NHRA was live streaming it on their YouTube. Brittany going 343.16 in Sonoma. I mean, you could just hear the disbelief in Brian Loans' voice. I mean, it was one of the most insane things to ever happen. And then to think they duplicated it and went faster a couple races later, or the next race or whatever, is... I genuinely had no words at the time. From Sonoma again. Greg Stanfield winning a freaking Wally. Who had that in their playbook? I mean, I love Elite, but Greg winning is really freaking cool because it proved that not only could a lower tier Elite car win, but it also proved that there weren't no fucking team orders because he could have easily let off at the 8th, said something broke, let Aaron went. No. They drag raced, and a drag race is what the fans got. And it came out with Greg Stanfield winning, which was really cool. I was glad to see that for him. From Indy, Jack Beckman bringing out the tribute car. That was really cool because we have, I don't feel like getting up to get them, but we have diecast cars of that car. And I grew up seeing that car, and I never got to see pictures or videos of it. And then to see Jack bring that car out was really really cool, you know. And my dad got a kick out of it, which was cool. Um, and some of my other family members who saw the darker blue car back in the day, they got a kick out of it, which was awesome. Seeing, and I said this with Spencer earlier, seeing the one-off wrap jobs and paint jobs, it's really freaking cool, you know. And I didn't mention this earlier, but Doug bringing the Sealmaster look out in, I think, Phoenix, that was really cool because I was a fan of Richard Crampton back in the day. So to see him bring that out was really cool. And I think, I don't know if Langdon brought it out at all, but it might have just been Doug. But to see that look come out is cool. To see the Cornwell look come out is really cool for Brittany. To see the one-off brute force car for Jack is really cool. The war of 340 in Indy. Brittany goes 339 Friday night. Langdon goes 340 the next day before Brittany runs. And then she goes 343, 56, I think it was, which is just, to do it at nighttime is one thing, but to do it with the sun on the fucking racetrack, like, there are no words to describe it anymore, because it's so ridiculous and so over the top that there are no words anymore. Speaking of crazy runs, my boy Stevie Fast Jackson qualifying number 1 at Indy. That was really cool because they were debuting a new engine, the KTR SF1. I think Sydney was still in the 4.8 at that time, but to see him come out after not really doing that great last season when he came out, to see him come out and qualify number 1 twice and number 3 and just steamroll everybody when it counted, that was friggin' cool. And then seeing Sydney almost come close to winning the championship, that was really cool. Because he runs out of the same camp as Stevie. That's really cool. So, yeah. Erica finally breaking through, getting her 50th win. It's been a monkey on her back for I don't know how many seasons. To see her get that was really freaking cool. On the low, I'm a fan of Justin Ashley. Nobody else in my family for some reason likes him, but I like him. And to see him win Indy doing what he always does is cool, because he's not a very outspoken person. He doesn't really he's not really a big personality, but he talks on the racetrack, and that's what I like, is people who can do that. And he backs his shit up very, very good. And granted, does he always have the best car? No. But is he the best driver in Top Fuel right now? You better fucking believe it. The Shake and Bake duo qualifying number 1 at Reading, Clay and Spencer Hyde. That was cool because I'm obviously a fan of both of them. I watched the show. Clay with the Power Edge car. I didn't get to see it in person, but my dad sent me pictures of it. It is a sharp looking race car. So hopefully they bring it out again next year. Hopefully I get to see it. But yeah, that was cool for them because they definitely needed that. They hadn't done anything since Pomona, really. So it was good to see them qualify number 1, finally. And along with Spencer, too. I'm glad that he got his. Sean Bellemeur winning the Alcohol Funny Car Championship. I didn't really talk about the Lucas Oil stuff throughout the video, but I had a conversation at Norwalk with one of Sean's guys about the injected car. And his crew, it wasn't Sean himself, but it might have been one of the Bartone guys. He basically said NHRA killed the injected car, which sucks because I really wanted to see that take off. Because, no offense to Mixed Steel, but they don't really have the budget to run it the way it needs to be run like the Bartone guys do. So I was really hoping that they would put their heads down and really lock into the injected combo, but they just realized it wasn't competitive and they wanted to chase the championship. So that's what they did, and that's what they got. Congrats to Bellemere for winning the Alcohol Funny Car Championship. Brittany, unbeknownst to her, getting the last race win of the season and the last one of this chapter of her career. She just seems to have great luck in Vegas. Is the best way I can put it. She's won there 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. I can't remember, but she passed Shirley, which was good. Shut her up. And once again to win in front of her dad, really, really cool. I wasn't going to talk about anything that didn't happen in the NHRA, but I have to talk about this because I am a huge fan of ET. Austin going 379 at the Superstar Shootout. What the fuck? I mean, they did it, I don't even know how many years ago with Robert, but for Austin to finally do that, that was, dude, I was high for hours after that, just off of the excitement of them doing that. They had went 80 with, I think, a 3 last season, and I commented under that because they posted it as the quickest run of the season, and I commented on it, and I said that's not the number Jimmy had in mind, because it wasn't. I know for a fact they wanted to run a 79 with Austin. And for them to finally do it, how they did it in that bumpy-ass right lane at Bradenton, or was it the right lane? I can't remember. But still, Bradenton's a bumpy-ass racetrack, especially past the 8th mile. But how they did that at Bradenton is just insane. Absolutely badass. Coolest way to start the season. And sucks they couldn't win it, but such is life in the right lane at Bradenton. Alright, y'all. That's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me rant. If you guys have any moments that I didn't put on my list that you really enjoyed, put them in the comments. I'm going to read all of them. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more face game videos, let me know. These take no effort to make besides me talking and holding a microphone. So, yeah. See you guys. Love you. Peace.